who, oh, by the way, sits on the House Judiciary and Transport Committees. And by the way, he created a few headlines back at the end of 2019 when he announced he was leaving the Democrat Party to become a Republican. I want to welcome for the first time to the program New Jersey Congressman Jeff Van Drew. Jeff, welcome to the program. How are you, sir?
I am doing great, and it's great to be with you and your listeners.
So I'm glad that you came over to the right side over 2 years ago. Let me just ask you a question before we get to these committee hearings and the spying going on and the Hunter Biden and the Biden corrupt family, and just ask you, are you now more glad on that move than you were even 2.5 years ago when you've seen the destructive policy pushed by Democrats, but especially Joe Biden and his, as I call them, Jeff, regime, not administration?
Absolutely. If it isn't clear now to folks, it'll never be clear. This is not the Democratic Party that people used to know. This is a whole different globalist, radically left group of people that want to change the world and particularly want to change the United States of America. They don't think America's a special place. They want us to just be one more global entity that is controlled by billionaires at the top, and everybody else just does what they're told. This is not the Democratic Party, as I said before, that people used to know, and I would want no part of it, and I don't want any part of what they're doing. It's actually gotten, I don't know what other word to use, but weird. Not only corrupt, but weird at the same time.
I think most Americans are starting to feel that way. If you start looking at the comments on social media and just the way people are talking out in public, whether they're Republican, Democrat, Independent, Libertarian, except for the extreme radical left ones, of course, a lot of folks are like, that doesn't make sense. Or how can you do that? Or, yeah, there's only two genders. Why is the border wide open? Why aren't we backing our troops? Why are we spending $118 billion in Ukraine? I think regular folks are asking these questions like, this is very strange. Let's go to the whistleblower and the IRS, because one thing we've learned over the last couple of years is that the alphabet departments are corrupt. And these agencies are more corrupt than we once thought. It's not just some of the higher level. There's some mid-level people as well, and probably some of the field agents even, that are out there doing the bidding of the Biden regime and this, let's call it what it is, leftist cult. Now you have a whistleblower who's bringing the evidence. He's got receipts. He's saying, the laptop's real. There's issues here. I went to the inspector general. I went here. I went here. It's fallen on deaf ears. What can you guys do on the committee now to make something happen?
Well, first of all, we're going to really make sure that we've got all our T's crossed and our I's dotted, because there's a good sense that there's really something there. And we want to make sure that that there are no mistakes, that we lock this thing in. We've known all along that there's something there. This is no surprise that, Hunter Biden was involved with China, was involved with Ukraine, was involved with pornography, was involved with so many different issues. God knows if it was money laundering or what was going on. It seems like it was. But in order to do this now, and that's why you're noticing that whether it is our committee or Intel, everybody's being very careful, very quiet, whether it's oversight or whether it's judiciary. We're going to make sure that we do this thing right, because it's about time that these individuals were caught. They're harming our country. They are not being truthful in any way, and they are literally damaging the very structure of the United States of America.
Couldn't agree more.
This is bad stuff.
Couldn't agree more, Jeff. It is. It's horrible stuff. When you've got a compromised commander-in-chief sitting at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, and I've seen, because we got one of the original copies, when I've seen on that laptop with these business dealings from foreign entities, and let's be real, money corrupts. Money makes people do stupid things. I don't care if you say you're allegiant to this nation, but when you're taking money from foreign nations, you're probably going to be a little bit biased when you're doing different deals with them. So I think we've got a compromised commander-in-chief. That's my opinion. I want to go into something else that I know that the committees are also working on. And this came up a while back when a whole bunch of dead whales washed up on the East Coast, which you're a congressman on the East Coast. We covered it briefly, but now it's getting a lot more headlines. This has to do with the windmills being built out in the ocean. And I recall, and you probably do too, Jeff, when the president, Trump brought up how bad windmills were for certain things in the environment, and the left laughed him off. And he said, no, they're killing animals and they're doing this and they cause issues. Well, now besides killing whales, which they think in this report, that's what's causing it. Now you've got the Pentagon coming out with a report. Put this headline up, guys, in the back, please. That says the offshore wind farms might be threatening our military readiness and national security because they mess with radar and sonar. So if enemy ships are coming in, we might not detect them. Am I reading that report right?
You are reading it right. There is nothing good about these windmills. The harm that they're causing to wildlife in the ocean, what they're going to do to our fishermen. Our fishermen are probably not going to be able to fish over this entire area because where they have them in Europe, they can't. And you're talking about thousands, over 3,000 of these windmills, as well as over a huge amount of acreage, 2 million acres would be affected by this in the beginning. I mean, they're starting this project out as a giant project. There's a lot of money floating around here, a lot of money being made by these windmill companies and others who are investing.
Where's the Save the Whale folks? Where's the oceanic folks? Where's the people that keep the oceans clean? Where are they?
Well, you know, let me say this to you, though. Even if, and I believe it, the windmill are causing the problems with the whales, but even if they weren't, which is not the case, even if they weren't, we have to be concerned about this because it's going to hurt our fishing, our tourism. It's going to be a problem for safety.
Yeah, I'm worried about the national security thing, Jeff. We already got a weak president.
The national security. I mean, we don't know what to do with the windmill blades when we're done with them. They're not recyclable. There's so many better ways of going about trying to produce less carbon or whatever it is they want to do than what they're doing. This is nonsense, but it's really damaging our coast, and it's going to damage it even a lot more as they continue to move forward. So we're fighting it. We had the hearing down in South Jersey, and we're going to have a hearing or two right here in Washington. We're working on that right now, and we're going to go into these various reports, and we believe there's even other information that they may have just jumped and started this project before all the safety reports were even in, which would make the whole thing illegal. So we're going to keep pushing on this.
New Jersey Congressman Jeff Van Drew, thank you so much for coming on the program. Appreciate you, sir.
My pleasure to be with you.
Yep, take care. Up next.